Welcome to the BreakFree Real Estate Podcast. Hey guys, today David and I are going to share with you how much you should charge in rent. So obviously there's a lot of factors to this. It depends on what time of year you're trying to rent out your house, how many bedrooms and bathrooms it has, what neighborhood it's in, what amenities you have. Do you have a yard? Do you have a hot tub? Do you have, are you including utilities? Are you including Wi-Fi? So there's a lot of different factors in this. So I would say the first thing before you decide how much you should charge in rent is to run a bunch of comps. And so we've shared a lot of these tools on the podcast before, but we'll just quickly go through some tools we like, and then we'll help you learn how to adjust your findings to your personal situation. So the first thing you can do is you can just look up houses for rent in your area, just on Zillow, or there's a bunch of different ones. Realtor.com has them. They're
even
all over.
Facebook Marketplace, anywhere that
Yeah.
there's posted property for rent.
Yeah, so you can just look and kind of compare what you have to what other people are renting it out for, and kind of just see what is currently on, what's your competition? Because if you're going to list your house for rent, these are your competition. So understanding that. Another thing you can do is you could go to a source like Rentometer, and that'll give you a good idea of Rentometer uses comps in the past 6 months. I've found Rentometer to be really good for houses and mother-in-laws, but as far as duplexes, I feel like it's, or multi-units, it's a little high in my opinion. And then another one I really like is just to go based off of the HUD rental limits. So whatever their rental limit is in that county for that bedroom is a good starting point, especially if you have a multi-unit. For a house or a mother-in-law, the HUD rent is going to be a little bit low probably, but if you want accurate rents for a multi-unit property, that would be a really great place to start. And I'll go ahead and drop the link where you can find all of those in the description. David, I know you have I forget what it is, but you have one that you really like.
Yeah, well, I use Rentcast because it comes into a tool, an analyzer that I use, and so Rentcast is a tool that I use. Again, I think they're fairly accurate. They're going to get you close, but the best way, I think, if we were to sort of layer these in tiers of where to start, I think starting with the HUD median fair market rents, or fair market rents, I think it is. And like you said, let's link to it in the show notes there. But you can look up HUD's fair market rent by, I believe it's zip code, or I think you can look up by county.
County, yeah.
Okay. So starting there is a great place because that's sort of static information. I think they update it on a quarterly basis at best, maybe might be monthly, but it's not going to be giving you real-time data, but that at least gives you something to work off of right at the top. Then the next layer, I think, is what you talked about with Rentometer and Rentcast. Those are two great tools. I think Zillow is another good tool. And then from there, it's about actually doing the hard work of just calling around, because that's going to give you your most real-time data, what's really happening in the neighborhood where you have the rental property, and doing what we call secret shopping, just calling around and asking, similar type properties, what are they charging? What are the amenities? What's the square footage? And just put together a spreadsheet of, 6 or 7 comps, or as many as you can get with their criteria, and then analyze that against your property to come up with the very best price. And then you've got to take into account, okay, well, what condition is your unit in compared to some of these other units? And maybe worthwhile even going and walking some of those units to get a real clear idea of what you could potentially charge in rent.
Yeah, and the more you do it, personally, I don't have to call around anymore. But the more you do it, the more you'll kind of understand what the rental market looks like in your area. And also, even just looking at a listing, most of the time they have a lot of that data on there. So if you can't find a phone number, or maybe you don't want to call around for some reason, like you could really just find a lot of it. I think the biggest barrier that people run into is greed. And so they try to get as much money as possible, and they don't like, if your floor isn't as good as the other floor, but you're like, you want to look past that, or if if your bathroom's kind of run down, or your kid or your unit in a whole is run down, you might just oversee that just because you're like, oh, mine is a 3 bedroom 2 bath, so I can rent it for the same. So just really try to put on like neutral glasses and look at both properties as if you were going to be renting them, and figure out like how you can make yours a little bit more attractive. Usually, for like if you're renting out a mother-in-law, you're going to be covering utilities anyways, and so one thing I tend to throw in is Wi-Fi, because a lot of people like that. They like to only have the one payment. And then like always, like if you find something that is completely the same as yours, lower your price $100. Like lower your price $50 or $100 underneath the property that you find that's directly like yours, because you're going to get more tenants to choose from, and longer tenants are better tenants. So like the
Well, yeah, I think if you're willing to come down a little bit off of the peak pricing and you can give more value in the form of the living space than the competition, then you're just going to get a higher quality tenant. And in the long run, that can save you money. So that $50 gap of what you could charge to what maybe you should charge, could mean the difference between a tenant turning over and leaving your unit in complete disarray with trash, carpets and paint and all that. That's going to cost you more than that $50 discount that you're offering up.
Yeah, and I mean, and that also goes back to like screening your tenants, but it's just the fact that if you most people are looking for good deals. And so if you're offering something that looks like a good deal, if they're looking for a rental and they see 5 rentals that are $1,500 a month, and they see yours that looks the same, if not a little better, for $1,400 a month, you're just going to have a lot more tenants to choose from, because more people are going to click on the one that's less expensive. So, most people anyway. So you're just going to have more tenants to choose from. And also, just screening tenants is, I mean, we could talk about that more on another episode, but yeah. Anything to add, David?
I don't think so. I think that's it.
That's it for today. For more daily investing tips and real estate secrets, don't forget to visit breakfreerealestate.com and make sure to like, subscribe, and share our podcast. We will see you tomorrow.